Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane has released the findings of her investigation looking into allegations that the ANC's parliamentary chief whip, Pemmy Majodina, is guilty of wrongdoing. Now, this is a matter involving a PPE tender that was awarded to her son back in January last year. ANC MP Mervyn Dirks actually reported Majodina to Mkhwebane last month, accusing her of gross nepotism and disrespect of public office. Now, Majodina's son, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, secured about 52,000 rand, at least a tender worth that amount of money, in order to supply PPE thermometers to the ANC's constituency office. Releasing her report on this matter yesterday, Mkhwebane says Parliament is to blame for this. She joins us now via our video link for more on this. Advocate Mkhwebane, it's great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for making time. It's an interesting finding, this, and I must say ahead of our discussion that there were 6 other reports essentially that you released yesterday, and this is just one of them that we're honing into now. And part of what you say in this particular report is that this is an ANC matters, and as far as you're concerned, ANC affairs do not fall within the scope of matters investigated by the Public Protector. Fair enough. So, with that in mind, is it safe to say that Pemmy Majodina is necessarily exonerated here, or are you just pointing out that you don't have the jurisdiction really to look into what happened?
Good morning, Ayanda. Good morning to your listeners. Yes, indeed, we issued around 5 reports. 2 with findings, one relating to somebody being failed by Legal Aid South Africa, another one being failed by Government Pension Administration. So relating to this one, we had findings against Parliament because they couldn't pass regulations which will make sure that monies which are allocated to various political parties, they are audited. Indeed, those political parties, they account for them. So during our investigation, because when we investigate, we need to be investigating all the facts. We need to follow the money and understand where the monies were paid. So indeed, we discovered that this 52,500 was paid into Ms. Majodina's son, and for procurement of the PPEs, and that was in contravention of Section 217 of the Constitution. But then there's nothing we can do about that. So I think the only thing is for Parliament, which the Speaker has acknowledged, is that they should be issuing these regulations so that with themselves as the accounting authorities and the accounting officer should make sure that in future they comply to the financial management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act.
Yeah, that piece of legislation came into force back in 2009. More than a decade has passed, and we found that Parliament hasn't necessarily essentially enacted the regulations under this piece of legislation. You're saying you're hamstrung by the lack of action. You can't do anything because as far as the law is concerned, Parliament hasn't done what it was meant to do, which was going to enable you to act.
Actually, we've acted against Parliament because it's in state affairs, and we have advised them going forward, they should be having these regulations to stop this abuse of resources. But then, remember, the ANC as a political party doesn't fall within the mandate of the Public Protector. Hence, then it's up to the ANC itself to make sure that they take action, especially on how their members are also in compliance with the constitution of the country when they handle the resources which are allocated to them by the state. So there's nothing we can do as Public Protector against her. But then what we have done, because we focus on public administration and state affairs, hence we have remedies for Parliament to make sure that they issue that, and I think they are now in the process of doing that as per our engagement with the Speaker.
I'm pressed for time and I'm going to get in trouble for this, but have you gotten timelines from Parliament about when they're going to finally act to enact this piece of legislation, given that the legislation itself came into force, as I mentioned, more than a decade ago in 2009.
We gave Parliament around 190 days to enact these particular regulations.
Okay.
And since we've issued the report today, we will then monitor that they indeed do that.
It'd be remiss, probably, Protector, for me not to squeeze this in. You've been asked by the UDM leader to investigate South Africa's ties to Glencore. Have you received that letter? Is that something you're willing to take up?
We've received that letter, and we have also requested the registration team to include that into. There is a current investigation which was lodged by Mr. Majele in 2020 relating to the very same monies which were paid to Glencore. So that investigation is ongoing. It falls within the good governance and integrity investigations, and we will see how we look into that matter of Mr. Holomisa.
All right. Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, that's the time we have this morning. Thank you so much for your indulgence.